Before anyone ever spoke of fear, before the house earned its dark reputation, there was only a calm neighborhood in Amityville, New York, a place where evenings felt gentle and familiar, where porch lights suggested safety and the sound of distant traffic felt reassuring. And it is this calm that makes the story so disturbing, because true horror never begins loudly, it grows silently inside comfort. And on the night of November 13, 1974, that sense of safety vanished forever, as the DeFeo family went to sleep trusting the walls around them, unaware that something unseen had already settled into the silence of the house. And when morning arrived, 6 members of the same family were found lifeless in their beds, their rooms untouched, their doors closed, their stillness so complete that it unsettled even trained investigators. And what frightened everyone most was not only the loss, but the silence surrounding it. No sounds heard in the night, no movement, no warning, as if the house itself had chosen to keep the moment hidden. And when Ronald DeFeo Jr. spoke of pressure he could not escape, of thoughts that felt forced and overwhelming, his words left behind a deep unease rather than answers, planting the idea that something beyond logic may have influenced events. And after the legal process ended, the house remained standing, empty yet heavy, avoided by many, whispered about by others, until hope returned once again when the Lutz family arrived, carrying dreams of warmth, laughter, and a peaceful future, believing that a place could not remember pain. And at first the house allowed this belief to survive, appearing quiet and ordinary, yet slowly, almost carefully, it began to alter the emotional rhythm of daily life, creating discomfort so subtle it was easy to dismiss, a strange stillness in certain rooms, a feeling of being observed when no one was present, and the basement in particular filling George Lutz with an unexplainable dread that settled deep in his chest, while Kathy focused on creating normal routines, convincing herself that fear was only imagination. Yet children often sense what adults deny, and soon they began speaking of a presence near the upstairs windows, someone who watched quietly, patiently, without speaking. And as nights passed, rest became shallow and restless, George waking without fail at exactly 3:15 every morning, his eyes opening suddenly, his heart racing as if called by something unseen, sitting awake while the house felt alert around him. And during those quiet hours he began to notice details he had never noticed before, the way shadows seemed to stretch longer than they should, the way the air felt heavier near certain walls, the way silence itself seemed to listen, and sometimes he would hear faint sounds that stopped the moment he focused on them, soft movements that felt intentional, as if the house was reacting to his awareness. And Kathy too began to sense the change, feeling watched while doing ordinary tasks, turning suddenly only to find empty rooms staring back at her. Her reflection in mirrors appearing unfamiliar for brief moments, while the children grew more sensitive to the atmosphere, refusing to sleep alone, waking from dreams they could not fully describe, saying only that the house felt awake when everyone else was asleep, and small moments of normal life began to feel strained, meals eaten in quiet tension, conversations ending early, laughter fading into careful silence, and the nights seemed longer than they should be, stretching endlessly, pressing down on the family's thoughts, and the house itself felt closer somehow, as if its presence had moved inward, filling hallways, corners, and spaces between words. And even daylight brought little relief, because the sense of unease followed them from room to room, lingering like a memory that would not fade. And with time the atmosphere inside thickened, doors shifting gently without reason, faint sounds traveling through empty hallways, sudden waves of cold spreading through rooms even when the heaters were on, and strange marks appearing on walls that no one remembered placing there. While emotionally the family slowly changed, the children becoming quieter and more withdrawn, afraid of silence, Kathy feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, sensing that something invisible was tightening its grip, and George changing in the most unsettling way, becoming distant, spending long hours staring at the structure itself as though listening, speaking less to his family and more to the quiet around him, forming an attachment to the house that felt unnatural. And as days turned into weeks, the line between fear and routine disappeared completely, mornings offering no relief, nights arriving with a heavy sense of anticipation, the house no longer feeling like shelter but like a presence with awareness, observing patiently, influencing emotions, waiting for weakness, and small details began to feel threatening, shadows appearing deeper than they should, silence feeling louder than sound, ordinary creaks carrying meaning, and despite attempts to regain control, the emotional pressure continued to rise, pressing into every conversation, every decision, every moment of rest, until instinct finally defeated denial. And after only 28 days, in the deepest part of the night, the family gathered their children and left without packing belongings, without plans, guided only by the need to escape, stepping into darkness with relief mixed with fear, leaving the house behind once more, silent and unchanged. And although time passed and others lived within its walls, the story refused to fade, as neighbors continued to share quiet observations of lights turning on without reason, shadows moving behind curtains, and a heaviness that settles over the building after sunset. And whether one believes in unseen forces or not, the emotional truth remains undeniable, that real people experienced fear, confusion, and lasting emotional scars inside that house, and that some places seem to remember what happens within them, holding on to the past patiently and silently, waiting long after everyone believes the story has finally ended.